Okay, so we're going to take a look at this problem. It's a word problem. And, so plumbers, this is one way that plumbers usually work, or they often work. Let's say a plumber charges $50 for a house call plus $75 per hour. So what that means is they come out to your house, and if they then leave your house, you call them to your house, and if for some reason they don't do any work, you don't want them to work for you, you still owe them $50 for coming out. And then after that, if they work for an hour, then it's $75. For 2 hours, it would be 2 times 75. So this is the amount of money that you pay them for each hour they actually work. This is the amount of money you pay them just to come to the house. So let's say we have a plumber who charges $50 for the house call plus $75 per hour. If the total bill was $350, how many hours did that plumber work? So before we actually solve that problem, let's think about it a little bit. Let's spend a little bit of time thinking. So the first number is 50. Now think about that for a minute. If the plumber comes out and he works for 1 hour, you pay that $50. If he comes out for 2 hours, you pay that $50. So no matter what, that $50 stays exactly the same. So that's another word for staying the same is constant. That's a term we use in mathematics. A constant value, it refers to some number that's not changing. So $50 doesn't change. So that's what we're going to use in the equation. So $75, that's not really a number. This is a rate. It's saying $75 per hour, or $75 for each hour. So sometimes it's written as per hour, sometimes with a fraction bar with this R. I'm gonna leave it like this. So there's actually 2 parts to this. One is the rate per hour, and then the other part, in other words, in order to know how much this value is going to be worth, is how many hours you work. So there's actually 2 parts. This part doesn't change, but it'll be multiplied by the number of hours, and the number of hours will change. So something could change. It's unknown at this point. So that's our variable. So what we're going to have is we have to figure out what we're going to call that, since I'm going to call it H. So I'm going to say H will be the number of hours worked. So we find out how much it is by multiplying. So if it's 1 hour, it's 75. If it's 2 hours, it's 150, etc. Right? Now this right here, that would be the number of hours. So we can say 75H. So 75H represents the amount of money paid for some value of H. So for H hours of work. Okay, so remember H stands for the number of hours worked. So if it's 1 hour, then it would be 1 times 75, like that. 2 hours, 2 times 75. And then the last number is 350. That's our total, right? The total bill was 350. So the total is, basically it's the answer that you get after doing all the calculations. So the first number you're going to take is the 50, right? So we're going to take this and we're going to put it together with the number we get when we multiply this. Now this is going to be a variable term, right? That's a variable term, that's a constant term. And we're going to put those together and do our calculations. Sometimes, depending on the problem, sometimes you'll have to add, sometimes subtract, sometimes a combination of things, multiply and then add. So that's what's going to happen here. So the numbers that go into this, we know no matter what, we start off with $50. That's how much we've paid. right? Now, the guy comes to the door, the plumber comes to the door, and he says, okay, $50 so far. Now I'm going to start work. And he says, I charge $75 for every hour. So if you tell him 0, then he goes away with $50. Now at this point, we don't know how long it's going to take, because you're going to say, okay, come on in, fix the drains. So he comes in, and we don't know. But then, after he works, plus this $50, at the end of the time, you owe $350. So that's what our equation is going to look like. So in order to solve that, we just do it like a regular equation, right? Subtract, make sure you keep everything balanced, same number on both sides, because we didn't have a negative before, so when we put that in, we're adding that, changing the equation. If we change the equation, we have to change it on both sides to keep it balanced. So now we have 75H equals 300. That's actually $300 actually, right? And then here we divide both sides by, and this is $75 per hour. And then we divide by 75. And H will be the number of, will be 300 divided by 75. The answer will be 4.